Hello, Mara. And then Olivia Brown, you're there, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's do this. So yesterday, the whole gas thing. So I just wanted to show you this real quick. Let me share my screen with you. So we talked about supply. We've been talking about supply and demand, but then yesterday we talked a little bit about the gas situation. And last night they had a story on WLS about it, and I laughed because I was like, "Oh yeah, heck yeah!" I already taught this to my kids. And then there's a link that that you can click on to file a scan, and guess where it takes you? It takes you to the thing that I showed you yesterday. All right, so and then the price gouging and that was fun to see. All right, so today what we're looking at, and then yesterday we got into fiscal policy. All right, so what we're going to look at today is this thing called monetary policy. So go to your Google Classroom. And I'm going to give you this thing that says monetary policy day one. You see that? That should be coming through when you refresh. Yeah, all right. And you should have it in just a second here. And so on your screen, yesterday we talked about fiscal policy. Today we're going to talk about monetary policy. As it's coming through, let's review yesterday. Again, as you're pulling that up, let's review yesterday really quickly. So yesterday we were talking about fiscal policy. Remember the number one key about fiscal policy, okay, is it's how the government is going to spend the money. Who are they going to give? Who are they going to make pay? And how are they going to spend? So where's the revenue coming in from? And then where are the expenditures going out of? And then anything, now we used the word tax break yesterday, but I also talked to you yesterday about any type of incentive for a household, right? So it could be any type of welfare situation. It could be the COVID checks. It doesn't have to necessarily be a tax break, okay, to be domain side. So we got domain side and supply side. And essentially, we want a good flow, right? We want this thing flowing. We don't want it going too fast, and we can't have it going too slow. So that's fiscal policy. How does fiscal policy and monetary policy work together? So I hope I've given you enough time. Yell at me if I haven't. We good? So you got this pulled up now. My people in class, you're going to put page 13. So what is monetary policy? If fiscal policy is how the government taxes and spends, what is monetary policy? I got a chat here. Oh, you're good, Faye. Thank you. All right. So here we go. What is monetary policy? Regulation and control of the money supply. How much is in circulation? So fiscal policy is how the government taxes and spends, but monetary policy is how much money is actually going to be out there in circulation. How many dollar bills are out there in circulation? That's money supply, monetary policy. So the first thing we need to do, so by the time you leave today, you're going to see how this dollar, the life cycle of the dollar. So where does it get printed? Then where does it go? Then where does it go? And then how do you get it in your hands? Okay. So that's what when you leave me today, that's what you're going to see. Okay.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yeah.
Isn't the $1 bill actually like pretty young? Like it was made like 1960s.
Oh yeah, I don't know when it was created. That would be a good bonus point.
I was
I'll- Hey,
I was
go
doing a
find
project in another class.
find
on
out when it was created, Faith. That's a good question, and then I'll give you 20 bonus points. Bring the answer tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. But so, what government institution actually prints the money? And that's going to be the. Sorry, I don't want to start with a D. The Treasury Department, Office of Printing and Engraving. And I'm going to show you that in just a second, a picture of the office of it's actually the Bureau of Printing and Engraving. Come on. So the Treasury Department is going to print this money. All of this money. And here is a picture of the Treasury Department printing the money. Millions and millions of dollars get printed every single day. But who holds on to it? Does the Treasury Department actually hold on to the money? No, it goes somewhere else. So after the money's printed, it's going to be held by, in number 3, what government institution holds on and controls the supply of money? And you're going to go 12 Federal Reserve Banks. Of the Fed. 12 Federal Reserve Banks called the Fed. So after the money's printed by the Treasury Department, here, then the money gets sent to one of these 12 Federal Reserve Banks around the country. All right, let me go back here so you can finish writing that. So you're 18 today, right?
Yep.
You used to be able to buy cigarettes, but now you can't.
Can't do anything besides buy
Because
lottery tickets.
because your boy signed it. Yeah, your boy signed it.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Yeah.
President Trump, when he was in office, signed the increase. That's your boy. Blame him. You could have got a lottery ticket and packed cigarettes today, but no.
I'll pass them. I'll pass them. She can join the military, but she can't do.
Yeah, that's weird.
How stupid.
I think if you go to the military, I think you should be able to get like a military card and then you can drink it. I think that should be the benefit. So I'll just give me a second to write this definition.
Yeah, everybody.
Hanging out with my people in class. Okay, here we go. So let me show you that. Let's put that up again. And then let me show you this dollar. If you don't have one at home, and if you guys have some money, you can go ahead and get it out. You don't have to, but I have this dollar here. And if you look on the money, you're going to have a letter. And then there's going to be a little number. You see that 5 right there on my dollar? That means that this dollar went to the Federal Reserve Bank in Richmond. So these numbers actually mean something. What's yours say, Jax? Where is it? Right here? This is a 20. Yeah, it'll be somewhere near the seal of it. Can I borrow that? Is it right here? Yep, L12. Oh, cool.
Wait. Oh my God.
So Jax just gave me a 20 because,
Oh, is it like
he's paying me for the lesson.
right there?
He's got
He bought me 20 cups of coffee. Thank you.
He's got a 12, and that's out of the Federal Reserve Bank in San Francisco. Where's yours at?
Mine's J2.
2, Federal Reserve Bank out of Boston. If you go to these cities, you're going to have a big Federal Reserve Bank. I take my kids to the Cleveland one because I got family up there, and you can go in, you can take the tour. It's pretty cool. So if you ever go to a city that has a big Federal Reserve Bank, maybe when you have kids one day, walk in there, take a look at it. It's free. Okay. So now, real quick, so the Treasury Department has printed the money and now has given it to this thing called the Federal Reserve Bank, and there's 12 Federal Reserve Banks around the country. So we're life cycle, we're getting there, we're getting closer to us, but how do we get the money, okay? All right, so let's go back here. Raise this up a little bit. Again, you're taking these notes. I'm going to give you a quiz on these notes this Friday.
Boo.
Number 3, what government institution holds it? The Fed. Number 4, if the Fed, so we can use Fed now, but what happens if the Fed released all the printed money into circulation? What would happen to the value of that money?
Go down. Go down.
Very good. If there was money everywhere, the value of the money go down. So we can't have an oversupply of money, right? Remember supply and demand. All right. If there were $20 bills in everybody's pocket, then it wouldn't be valuable, right? You would need more of them. If the value, flip it though, if the value of the money goes down, what would happen to price of goods and services?
It would go up.
Very good. So remember, and I'll use because Cedric brought it up. The coffee, remember the coffee lesson? Coffee was selling for $1. But if $1 isn't as valuable anymore, then I'm not going to sell it for $1. I'm going to raise my prices because I need more of these to go buy whatever I want to buy. All right. This is called inflation. Inflation is the rise in prices. However, look at number 5. If the Fed held all the printed money, if they didn't release all the money, and it was just in these 12 banks, what would happen? Okay. All right. What would happen? I'm trying to be as few words as possible. Circular flow of activity would stop. No money in supply equals no one buying stuff. This is called inflation, but whoa, hey, let's spell it right. Stagflation. This is called stagflation. So if no one had any money, then no one could buy anything. And then businesses would then have to lay off workers. So not only do we have to have good fiscal policy, but we've got to have good monetary policy. Because
So the problem everyone is having is that inflation is happening, but the low wage, like the lowest wage you can have, is not going up.
beautiful, Cedric, beautiful. So Cedric's starting to put some concepts together. All right, let's go back over here, right? So Cedric goes, wait a second. Yesterday, we were talking about fiscal policy, and he's saying the households that go to work aren't making as much money versus the amount that the products are going up. So Cedric's saying that's a sort of a problem, right? So maybe Cedric is thinking one of these for households. All right, so now you're putting it together, great. So we want the flow to go, we need this going. So if we don't have money in circulation, then it's not going to do this that you see on your screen. All right, it's just going to be like really, 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 really slow. All right, and then that will get us into, remember our business cycles, the ups and downs, then that'll get you into a recession, right? Oh, putting it all together, baby, here we go. All right, so look at what I put there in yellow. Holy crap, Mr. Gonzalez. You're telling me these 12 banks control all of the supply of money in this country, like that's crazy powerful, right? I mean, that's a lot of power. 12 banks, 12 chairmen. So question, who decides who these people are? Answer. When there is an opening, it's filled by president, nomination, Senate confirms. The United States Senate confirms. So it's a check and balance system. The president will look, it's advise and consent, and the president will take advice and consent with the Senate on a new chairman. Now, don't worry, okay? I know what you're thinking. You're like, holy crap, like we've been going for like 25 minutes and this is all new stuff I've never heard of. Like, and we're not even halfway through the paper. Like, we're only gonna do one of these today, okay? So just hang in there. You're actually almost done for today, okay? All right, so these 12 chairmen, okay? These 12 chairmen can control the supply of money, which now you know is a big deal. The next question is how? What are the tools that they can use to take money out of supply and put money into supply? Jax, could you move like, because I've never done this on Zoom before, so could you move like right there?
Yeah.
All right. Right here? Yeah, that'll be perfect. All right, so you guys are gonna have to sort of look here and look on the board a little bit, okay? Because we're gonna simulate this. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about, so how does the money get in and get out of supply? There are 3 tools on your handout. We're only gonna do one today. We're gonna do the easiest one, okay? So let's go to number 3. Okay, write this definition down. The reserve requirement is the amount of money the Fed requires commercial banks to hold and not lend out. What are commercial banks? Wells Fargo would be an example. Don't bank there. They do a lot of shady stuff. They've been penalized a lot. They've been penalized a lot over the last couple of years. I would actually not bank here. I would go somewhere else. Not financial advice, but yeah, Google some of the stuff Wells Fargo has done over the last 5 years. It's not good. State Employees Credit Union. This is a credit union, and if you did your EverFi, then you know the difference between a credit union and a commercial bank. But essentially, for your purposes, State Employees Credit Union, a lot of you guys bank there, right? Okay, your parents bank there, I bank there. One of the biggest things with a credit union is you can't get a business loan. So you'll do house loans and car loans, but they don't do business loans. All right, so you'd have to go to a more like a Wells Fargo or a Bank of America. Okay, so we got these commercial banks. The commercial banks are going to have money. Here's my green right here, okay? So this is the money. So the Federal Reserve is going to give the commercial banks the money, all right? And then you guys are going to ask for loans for stuff like cars and houses and stuff like that, all right? So the reserve requirement is the amount of money that the Fed tells the state employees credit that they can't loan out, All right, so let's go here now. I think I've given you enough time to type that one, so let's erase. And now let's go to the stimulation. I hope it's stimulating. Let's go to the simulation. So here we are, the Federal Reserve intentions. Right now, we have no one with any money. There's no supply of money. So what's the circular flow doing? It's not moving at all. So what are businesses going to have to do to their workers? Good, they're going to have to fire them. And then now, that's just going to snowball, right? Okay. So what we can do, the Federal Reserve's intention is going to be to increase the money supply, the supply of money. That's their intention. We're going to use this tool today. We're just going to look at one today, okay? We're just looking at this one. So we want to stimulate it using the reserve requirement. Let's say old RR, the old reserve requirement requires banks to hold 80% of their money and not lend it out. So, state employees has $100 or $100 million. They can only loan out 20 million of it. The other 80% of it, they can't loan out. Well, what if they've already loaned it out? So what if they loaned out 20 million of it to Jax? Go ahead, there you go, Jax. And then go ahead. Now, Jax is going to stand up. So in the video, any student that's standing up and just sort of walk around like back and forth there. All right, yeah, there you go. All right, so look at that. Okay, great. All right, and now Brooke, you're going to come up and she's going to come to State Employees Credit Union and she's going to try to get a loan. And I go, oh my goodness, Brooke, I'm so sorry. The reserve requirement is 80%. I've already loaned out. I have the money, but I can't give you the money, right? Because it's 80%. All right, so sorry, you'll get rejected. All right, so she can't buy the house or the car or whatever she's gonna buy. And you can stay still now, Jax, okay? All right, so that's not good. 80%. We need to stimulate the economy. So what can we do? We can just lower or raise that 80%.
Lower.
Mr.
Good.
Gonzalez, you're eventually going to become a loan shark.
Maybe I already am. So we're gonna lower it. So in order to stimulate it, we're gonna drop reserve requirement to, let's say, 40%. That means more money can be loaned out. So now, state employees with all that money can say, oh, okay, now we can make some loans. So sorry, Brooke, but come on back up. And so now she comes back a couple of months later, and now she gets a loan. All right, now you stand up. All right, come on up, Ashley. It's her birthday. She wants to have a big birthday party, so she wants like a $500 loan. So I give her a loan. All right, and Jax, you go ahead and stand up. And you guys just sort of like go back and forth just a little bit, just to give a little bit of movement. Just like, pop, 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 pop. All right. Oh, look at that. Okay. All right, good. And just freeze. And then, but now what has happened? What has happened maybe now, let's just pretend now, if you had 30 kids in here, you would see like, oh, wow. All right. But what has happened is now the Fed has done what? They have oversupplied money.
And now you only have
What? What?
Now you only have one more.
Yeah. All right. So the bank has lent out too much money. Everybody has money. What's going to happen? Prices are going to do what?
Go up.
Good. They're going to go up. So you're going to have inflation, right? You're going to have inflation. The flow is going too fast. Not good. We got to slow this down. So in order to slow it down, we're going to use the same tool to slow it down. How can we slow it down? Do what with the reserve requirement? Raise it or lower it?
Raise it.
Yeah, raise it. Raise back. Maybe not to 80 because we know that's not good. So let's maybe go 60%. Now watch what happens when she comes and pays the loan back. When she comes and pays the loan back, I'm not going to loan this money back out, okay? Because the reserve requirement. All right. And so that's how the money supply will slowly go down a little bit. All right. 3 tools. You looked at one today. Any questions before we hop off of here about the reserve requirement or anything that we talked about today? All right. I knew I threw a lot at you. Let me do one thing here. We're done with the lecture. So you have your notes. You're good to go. Let me show you this. So you have an hour left, or close to an hour. I've already gone over my lecture time, the Zoom time. But I do want to show you this. I took the names off. I took the names off to protect the innocent. But this is EverFi. This is EverFi, and what I'm looking at is if it's green, it's 100. Because I told you you got to get at least a 70 or higher, right? So if it's green, it's 100. So that person gets, whoever that is 700. This person right now has 200. All right, they're missing, okay? So what I want you to do the next 2 days is I want you to go and check your EverFi, because remember, on Power School, right, you see, I'm going to put it in on Friday, okay?
Oh, super.
All right. You guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out and hanging in. I'll see you tomorrow.
Mr. Gonzalez,
What's up?
is my EverFi good? Like, did I get 70 or above in all of them? Because I don't remember, but I think I did.